Hi, I'm DeMarcus from DXOMARK. We recently tested Xiaomi's latest flagship device, the Mi 10 Ultra. But don't confuse this with another company's Ultra device. Now, if you recall, only a few months ago, Xiaomi released another device, the Mi 10 Pro, to kick off their 10-year anniversary. This device scored very well, particularly with the camera and audio test. So what's changed? Let's find out. Here's a quick rundown of the specs. The 4-camera setup includes a 48-megapixel quad Bayer sensor with an f1.85 aperture camera, as well as an optical image stabilization. 2 telephoto cameras and an ultra-wide camera. Video can be shot at 8K and 4K, and it's all powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 865 chipset. Compared with the Pro, there are some important differences in the hardware. One, for example, being that the Pro sports a 108-megapixel quad Bayer sensor. The image sensor is considerably larger on the Ultra. Xiaomi has also made improvements to the ultra-wide camera by offering an optical photo length of 12 millimeters. That, even after distortion correction, was still measured at 12.5 millimeters, the widest field of view we've seen to date. Now, with updated hardware and software improvements, let's see how the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra rates in our testing. Now let's start with the basics. The Mi 10 Ultra has a very wide dynamic range, as well as accurate target exposure in all conditions. Good detail is visible in both highlight and shadow areas of the frame, even in challenging high contrast scene. In this backlit outdoor shot, the Xiaomi captures a slightly better exposure than the comparison devices, which both render the building slightly darker. Color capture is among the very best in all light levels, and the auto white balance also works very well in these different outdoor scenes. The autofocus system is fast and accurate, even in very low light, delivering good sharpness after both short and long delays. The Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra delivers a good trade-off between texture detail and noise, but it can't quite match the very best in this category, as you can see in this outdoor scene. Image noise is very well managed, as is expected. Noise becomes a little more visible in low light, but the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra holds up well to the competition. Now, there were some artifacts like fusion, maze, and flare during testing, but you would have to look very close to spot them. If you look closely in the corners of this shot, you can see an unnatural rendering of texture that is likely caused by the camera's fusion algorithms. Now, as you can see here, the Xiaomi produces the cleanest image with the most amount of detail, even at a 10 times zoom factor. The difference to the competition is even more visible at a 30 times zoom. You can see a loss of detail, but the Xiaomi images are more than adequate for web use, even when captured at such extreme zoom settings. Now, when shooting in bokeh mode, the Xiaomi will actually use its 2x tele lens to produce a very beautiful and natural looking result. In this long-range comparison, the Xiaomi produces stronger background blur than the other devices, making for an overall very pleasant effect. Now, in this example, the Xiaomi does an excellent job at isolating the subject's fine hair from the background, but the Samsung is somewhat struggling. The ultra-wide camera is one of the highlights of the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra's performance. With the measured 12.5mm focal length, it offers the widest field of view of all cameras to date. The ultra-wide gets all the basics right too, delivering very good target exposure and a wide dynamic range, as well as pleasant color. Detail could be better, but the Xiaomi has that in common with the most ultra-wide cameras we've tested. Some noise is visible too. Images shown show some distortion, but the effect is fairly well under control. Now, in this example, you can see that the Xiaomi squeezes a lot more of the scene into the frame. Now, the Xiaomi is also slightly wider than the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, and it produces images with slightly better detail and less noise. When the flash is in auto mode, the camera behaves as it should, triggering the flash for portrait shots, but not for the landscapes or cityscape shots. In night landscapes and cityscapes, target exposure is usually good and the auto white balance system works accurately. In the sample below, you can see that the Xiaomi produces a slightly brighter exposure than the other two cameras. Flash off mode produces good results too. This shot has pleasant skin tones with good face exposure and well-controlled noise. The Mi 10 Ultra shows excellent target exposure and low noise. The Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra delivered the best results in video mode when set to a 2160p resolution with a frame rate of 60 frames per second. Now the 60 FPS also means that panning is smooth, reducing the judder effect that is often noticeable at a lower frame rate. Overall, the autofocus system performs very well with quick reaction and reliable tracking. Solid stabilization reduces the camera shake and walking motion significantly. To sum things up, the pros of the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra include natural-looking bokeh, accurate white balance, excellent details in zoom, fast autofocus in camera and video mode, and effective stabilization. Now the cons include occasional unnatural texture renderings, fusion artifacts, and some noise and loss of detail in the wide-angle shots. So now for the final score. The Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra achieved an overall DXOMARK camera score of 130, making it the new #1 in our ranking. Its photo score of 142 also tops our list, as well as the video score of 106. On average, the device gets all the basics right, like target exposure, color rendering, and white balance. It's particularly impressive in the wide and zoom sections, especially for those who want a zoom camera but who don't want to compromise on quality. And it's also a great tool for mobile videographers and content creators. That about wraps it up for us. Be sure to check out the full review as well as reviews on other equipment at DXOMARK.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel to check out the latest reviews. Thanks, till next time.